do that for a little. Oh, anybody have any questions? Well, that's a good sign. This means we're doing pretty well. Good. Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Do you have any questions to the situation so far, the class, before we start?
No, it's just difficult trying to answer the questions. I gotta like read them like read the questions 45 times to just understand what you're asking us to do.
I know, I'm so sorry about that. It's all like, it's kind of a new format, having everything be online. And so.
Yeah, but I got it.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, it usually works fairly well with the videos and the material, the pictures, and then the quizzes, the questions. Good. If you look at that, more people coming on. It's like the popcorn popping, you know, it goes pops and pops and pops. And when it slows down, then we can start the class officially. Hello, everybody. Okay. Okay, we got 17 people, a couple more minutes, we're almost there. Any questions come up, just ask them, don't be shy. Unmute yourself, ask the question, and then mute yourself again. That way we'd have minimized background noise, but while I'm talking and something comes up, do not hand up, hold up hand or so, just interrupt me. That way we can flow, and it's, you know, we get through it pretty swiftly what we need to talk about today. So far, any questions in terms of how the format works with the quizzes, with the videos? You get familiar with all that because that's going throughout the course. Every week we're going to have videos, we're going to have the picture booklet part, and then we're going to have these questionnaires that do the quizzes. In chapter 1 we had, let me share the screen, and hello whoever is coming on. In chapter 1 we had, oh, it takes a little time here and I'm on Zoom. On module 1, besides having the videos and the quizzes, and we also had understanding concepts. I've been seeing you guys have been doing a good job. Make sure in those to respond to a few people back, to like 2 people back. Read some of their response. That way I know there is A, there is some interaction, and B, it helps us understand these concepts a little bit better if we spend some time on them. Yes.
With the covalent bonds, you talk about polarization, the non-polar and polar covalent molecules. Does that ever apply to ionic bonds, like the polar?
No, because you're already so much in polarity.
Okay.
You're already with the ionic bond, you're already transferring the electron.
Okay.
Fully from one atom to the other atom, and so then it becomes an ion. With the covalent bonds, you're doing a sharing, and so sometimes the sharing is an equal sharing, and sometimes one molecule has a little more pull than the other molecule has to that electron. Like in a water, I think the oxygen is a bit more of a pull than the hydrogen, and so it becomes a bit more negative than the oxygen pole of the molecule becomes a little more negative than the hydrogen pole.
Okay.
But you wouldn't have that with ions because it's just they're just transferring the electrons over, so it's a full transfer. Good question, very good question. Good. So yeah, so that's in the first few chapters we have these understanding concepts, and then we don't have them after the cell chapter. then we have more labeling exercises. And in the first chapter, we have this one labeling exercise where you mark it, you've labeled it, and then you color it to spend a little time on it to sort of get the material sort of ingrained. We don't do the dissection when we're not in class. But the questions and the videos and the booklets, that's in all the chapters. So that's what I want to talk about that. So are you guys clear with that process, more or less, as we go through the class?
Yes.
Okay, good. And then what I have interspersed there are these health kit thing, the lifestyle assessment here, as we get into last week was also this module that I want to do the work on. And then organic chemistry and cytology is this week, where we have, or actually even all the three of them. Well, I'll tell you that in a minute why. Here we have a food label analysis, so that's also a health kit thing. But first of all, we have this labeling exercise for the lifestyle assessment. So I want you guys to, that's in your kit, in the booklets. I want you guys to make sure you choose a group that you want to be part of, and you text me that. If you want to be part of, we do a few weeks of monitoring a couple of health. We talked about that last week briefly. A couple of health routines that we do, and one of them is drinking water. That's a routine in the chemical part of our life. One of them is doing some exercise every day or 5 days a week, not every day. And we can choose that. That could be walking, that could be swimming, that could be bicycling, that could be treadmill, depending on what you guys like. Or also for some of us in the mental, decreasing stress kind of things, sometimes it's good to have some meditation in a day, or some mindfulness exercise, and we do that with a 10-minute meditation. And so for 3 weeks, more or less, I want you guys to do one of the 3 things 5 days out of the week. You don't have to do 7 days, so don't be too crazy about it, but try to implement it as diligently as you can. And the first thing that we need to do about that, and some of you have already done that, is choose which thing you want to do. Is it meditation? Is it exercising? Or is it more water drinking? And then you text me that, or send me an email on the inbox. But texting is better for me right now, when I try to integrate all the students. It's just much faster for me to catch it. And then if you do that by tonight, by tomorrow would be great, sooner the better. And then I, in the background, create texting groups with the people that do the specific thing. And I put about 8 to 10 people in a group, so it's not too overwhelming. And then each time you do your activity or you do your thing, you text the group and say, hey, I meditated and it was, I don't know, blissful or horribly hard, or I fell asleep, or whatever it is that comes out of it, whatever benefit or whatever the feeling is that you have afterwards. And that way we sort of, because it's anatomy and physiology, it's like that way we get into our body a little bit more, doing something like that. And these are good things to do anyway, especially when we start a semester and it's kind of stressful. Oops, sorry about that. I can't turn that part off. Especially as we start a semester and everything's a little hectic. I know it seems like to do something extra, but that way, at least you feel like you have to do something for class, and then you give yourself that room. All right, so that's that lifestyle assessment thing. And then after we finish that part, then you fill out, well, let me go into it real quick, because in that booklet, in that pamphlet, well, let me show you. In my pamphlets, so the one I'm talking about, if you don't have it figured out yet, this is the, oh wait, I gotta get I thought I was so sharp with my virtual background, huh? Don't you like that? None. Good, there we go. So that in the health kit thing, in the health kit section, the first thing that we have there is this lifestyle assessment thing, and that is what I'm talking about. And on the last page of that, we talk about the keystone habits, and down at this section, I talk about the 3 things that we're going to be a group of one of those 3 things. So if you want to read back up on that, that's there. But last week we talked about doing the reading through that pamphlet and scoring ourselves in the different sections. There are 7 aspects of health that we can score ourselves in, and then also talk about habit creation, and we did a little exercise around that. And on the page where there's lines, make sure you fill that out, and then that's part of what you want to turn into me at some point to get this credit. And the other thing you do want to track is on this card that's in there. You want to track the first time you do the analysis, you assess yourself, you track it here, and you take a score. And then when we do the exercises, you track them here. Whenever you do it, you check it off and write real quick, I feel blah, blah, blah. However it is. It doesn't have to be positive. It's just so we're checking in with our situation. I'm not going to grade you on what you write. I'm going to grade you on doing it. And then after the period of 3 weeks or 2.5, 3 weeks, we're going to fill this. No, it is about 3 weeks. We're going to fill this out again and have a second assessment, and then we see if the score is changing. And so that way we have a little integration of what we learn into our regular daily routine and daily life. And so that's what we do with the lifestyle assessment. And the first thing I want from you, if you haven't done it yet, text me, which of the 3 things would you like to do? You only need to do one of them. You only need to do either exercising, meditating, or drinking more water. Oh, chat. Hold on, let me check. I hope they are. Okay, if you put the chat in, let's make sure we talk about it at the end, because it's hard for me to keep track of that at the moment while I'm talking. But make sure I don't forget. And if you do forget, text me and we'll talk offline.
Hey, Professor.
Yes.
I do have a question.
Yes.
I was a little bit confused on the booklets. So on the first few assignments, do we gotta finish, like, fill out all the pages of the booklet or some of them?
You mean in the book? You don't fill out anything in the booklets, right? That's just the pictures with the video links.
But
Are you
there's a
talking
lot
about
of pages
those?
on it.
Huh?
There's a lot of pages on it.
Yeah, but you're talking about those booklets?
Exactly.
Yeah, so in there, you watch the videos and you go along with the pictures and the text, and you have the first chapter is to, the first chapter is to where it then says 2, where chemistry comes in. And then chemistry actually is one big chapter, so we split it into 2 weeks. And you have the week 2 is, I think, where organic chemistry starts, and the week 1 is the first part of the chemistry. And then we finish up this booklet this week, more or less. But if you fall a little behind, that's okay. Is that kind of your concern, that it's a little much at once, or Luis?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So for example, on the exercise booklet, there's a lot of labeling and everything.
Yes, so that's back to the health kit and the labeling part, right? The filling out thing?
Yes.
All right, let me get to that. I have a section here. Hold on, I gotta get this example. So that's this part, right?
Yes.
So in there, for the first few chapters, the only page you have in there that you need to worry about is the first page.
Okay.
Okay, and that's for chapter 1. And then after you've done that, you upload that, then the next part starts happening after we do the first test. So you don't have to worry about that at this point. You worry about that after the first test, because the first test is sort of the small stuff, like chemistry a little, then a little cells. We talk about the tissues, like the difference between bone and blood and all of that kind of stuff. And then we get into sort of the things we can touch. Then we start talking about bones and muscles, and that's when we start doing those lists. So you don't have to worry about those sheets until we get to it.
All right.
So that's where you follow the modules. Let me go back to that. I'm going to make sure you understand. Lifestyle assessment, was that pretty clear? You guys are okay with that? Okay, good. So then we'll
I
move.
have a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Should we start that today? I started meditation today.
Let's just start that today. I'm a little scattery behind on some of the detail, but I'm going to put you today in sheets, and then I give you group text, and then if you text me what group, the ones you texted, I already wrote them down. I just need to make those groups in background, and then if you start today and you start taking notes of that today, that's perfect.
Okay, so this, you're gonna grade us on this. This is the assessment per day, and then we're filling this part out at a later, when do we turn this part in?
You turn that in at the end. Just fill that part out as you go, when you have some time. And then at the end, after 3 weeks, we turn in the finished scorecard and then a picture of that sheet as well.
Sorry, one last question. The
absolutely.
The lifestyle assessment scorecard with the posture, food, etc. So that's a daily thing as well?
No, you do that in the beginning one time and then at the end one time. Okay. And then we can compare the scores, just sort of as a little, I do that with some of my patients. If we want to make like let's say a lifestyle coaching type thing with people, as like there's then something we can do that we can work. It's kind of like from that angle a little bit. Okay. And so if we do, I don't think in 3 weeks of like putting in extra water, but maybe something will change. I mean, a lot of people get as clear skin, for example, if they do consume, consistently sort of do that for a few weeks. And so some of the scores do change, but we'll see.
Okay. And then so like ideally we do the first lifestyle assessment, say today or this week sometime, and then 3 weeks from now we'll complete the other card.
Yeah, let's start implementing the exercise or the water drinking or the meditating today. Okay. Today, tomorrow, now. And then if you haven't done the lifestyle assessment yet, do that as in that period. Well, do that also now if you can grade yourself in those 7 things. And then after we finish the 3 weeks, we then do the second grading. But if you got too much, grade yourself tomorrow or so, but just do it as a now kind of thing. All right. And then, okay, but I'll be hearing from everybody about the groups. And then then let's go back to Louis. You had that thing so let's go back to the modules. So if you haven't been there last week, the student orientation, what the heck happened here? Oh, some of them you guys don't see because I'm actually in teacher view right now. So on the student orientation, make sure you take a look at the study tips and the study tools. That's that little card where I talk about the flashcard system. If you have the card, you don't need to go in here. It's the same thing. But I think for this material, it's a good way of studying. And then every week we have video stuff and quizzes, Louis, and then understanding concepts are in the first few chapters only. Okay. And then the labeling exercise is only in this one. And then we don't pick that back up until down here after when we go to the skull. Okay. So don't feel too overwhelmed with that. Just focus on doing the video watching, the booklet viewing, the questionnaires, and then these exercises that are here. The survey is just a quickie, so I understand if people are having issues or not. And so this last week, or also partly into this week, was these first 2 chapters. And then now this week is there are actually 3 chapters. However, you don't have to be too, crazy. I mean, go as swift as you can, because I do want to spend as much time in the bigger anatomy chapters as we can. So that's why we go a little fast here, but if a little quickly here. But the test, I leave the test open, which is about all this material between the 6th and the 19th. So you have a whole big window when you can take that exam. And I'm not dinging you for late work. So technically speaking, you really have till the 19th to get all of these first few chapters done. You're just starting to also have to worry about the next chapters coming up. And that's in the syllabus. I didn't adjust all the dates in here yet. Does that make sense, Louis? Does that help a little bit?
Yes, that did. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, make sure you got to work on it. It's a tough class, but it should be fun also. And I want you to sort of try to feel like you can dive into it a little bit. But, if you're too overwhelmed, communicate with me, because I do want to give you some flexibility. The one place I don't have flexibility is at the end of the course. When the course is finished, then Canvas closes for me too. And so we have to keep that in mind. So I don't want to give you the leeway and then there is lazy code and then we have issues. But I'm assuming you guys are all on top of that kind of stuff at this point. Okay. All right. So then this week, besides having so we have organic chemistry. So you do the second part, or understanding concepts, and then on the organic we have this food label analysis. And the food label analysis is the second handout in that health kit that you have, where I want you to choose 5 foods and look at the labels on the food package and do an analysis of how many carbs are in there, how many fats, how many sugar, how many proteins, how much protein, and a few other items. And then, think about it a little bit. And there's a few questions to answer on there as well. And when you finish, you take a picture of that and upload it to Canvas. I like you guys, if you can, choose a vegetable and the fruit and then some processed foods to just kind of see the difference, because it's kind of interesting. And I never look at these food things, nutrient labels. So doing that exercise once in a while, I think is kind of helpful. So that's what that is about on this week here. And then the second part of chemistry, the organic chemistry. And then after that, we're diving right into the cells. And we're going, here we have the questions. Oh, and do you see this integration session? So if you ever have issues.
If you don't need it like right away, that's cool. But like some people, they have
mute
stuff.
Who's not muted?
You can get a 7-day temporary.
Who's not muted? Now they're muted. Good. Sorry about that. What was that? Oh, cells. Yeah. If you ever don't get a question in the quiz and you like what's going on with that, you can always watch the videos that's under FYI, because those are actually integration videos of me answering these questions in a class setting. So this organic chem integration session is for the questions up here. So, basically you really can go through them, and then you can also watch this and get also answers through that. The reason why I do that is because some questions are maybe not so clear, although I do answer a couple of them wrong in the integration sessions. So at some point I got to fix that, but only a couple. But the other thing is once in a while it's tiring to just read, and then you can just watch the video and do it that way, because by the time you watch the first video and then this video and look at the book, you understand the material, I think, much better. And that way there's multiple pathways, and you will, of course, at the end of the day be tested on it. So make sure you don't take too many shortcuts and spend some time on it. Plus, I can look in the background how much time you spend on that whole thing, if I ever want to. Not that I ever done that. I don't like to do that kind of stuff. But anyway, then we have a tissue module, and there's also some videos and some questions on that. I put the FI for tissues right under the tissues, so that way it's right there, because then we get into the test. And the test is from open on the 9/6. That's next Monday. Yeah, next Monday after the class. That evening, I'm going to open the test, and then it stays open to the 19th. So you have a long period where you can take that exam. The exam is 55 points, and it's the same format as the quizzes, as the questions. It's a true, false, and multiple choice format. And so by that time, you're familiar with how that stuff looks. And I do have, yes, please.
So even though it's Labor Day on Monday, we're still having Zoom?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, you know what? Even if you don't join, because it's not mandatory, I'm just going to do it and make a video with it anyway.
Okay.
And if you can, that's cool. If you only got a couple, that's cool. And if you have questions, you just shoot me a text or an email, and then we go that way.
Okay. And then on the test itself, the questions are a similar format. Are they also like similar content? Or is it going to be like new angles on the material that we haven't really?
No. It should be just integration stuff. So when you actually press on the module for the, let me go back here on the test review thing. There's a test review thing. See, there's the test, and then the test review is everything that's on it.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
So I know I don't know if I spoon feed it a little bit too much for you guys, but you can tell me that later on in private, you know. We don't
I
have
appreciate it.
worry about, because you know it's really about learning the material as far as I'm concerned, and try to make it as relevant as possible. So what I do have here is what, you know, the test is about. It's covers through the tissue chapters, 55 true false multiple choice questions. You can use a support material, so you can use a booklet. So that's why by the time you get to the test, you won't understand the stuff. That's why you do that. And then it's timed at 75 minutes, and you only get one attempt on that. Make sure you'll be able to work undisturbed. I think it will be good. And then good, and hopefully try to have, you know, internet connection. You can take these tests actually on the phone. It's not a, I don't mind taking those tests on the phone when I do them. It almost sometimes works smoother, although this test doesn't have any pictures. So that's already okay. So then here is the 4 chapters. So that's what I want, what's on the test from introduction chapter. That's what's on the test from the chemistry chapter. That's cytology, cell chapter, and then tissue chapter. So that's what I want you to know from those chapters 4 on the test. And I spell it out fairly, I think I spell it out fairly detailed. Like I tell you, you know, fibers, proteins, no, that's cells. Or like that rule is the valence carries 8 maximum. You know, by now you should, you know, if you've worked your way through the chemistry chapter, you know what that means. And then that way, if you do flashcards, that's a good way of doing flashcards. If something you don't understand on it, just shoot me a text and I can clarify it, because these are sort of my cliff notes. And then here's a PDF for it, I think, I hope. Come on, baby. Zoom slows it down. See, there's a PDF, so you can actually print out if you want, which I suggest, because then you have that right there when you take a test. But you don't have to, of course. All right, so that's my giveaway. And then the test, yeah, is opening on the 6th next week. So this week you work your way through material. But hey, now print out that test review now, and then when you work your way through the material, you know how to, you know, what's really essential. And then on the 6th, this will open, and then you just, you know, do it like it's a quiz. Take the quiz, or for me, it's take the preview. After preview, make sure everything is kosher, and then you have 75 minutes, and then that's it for that. So don't take it sloppily. Don't take it just, oh, okay, I can wing it. Just read at least once through that test review, so you kind of come on board with it. And get your way organized, that you know how to review your material. That's why the booklets actually are working fairly well for this test, because especially if you can use them as backup, as material, because it's not that much text, and so it's hopefully fairly well organized. All right, so with that, I think that's all I have to worry about. Anybody has any questions?
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
Is the pamphlet available at the bookstore, or is not online? It has to be.
Oh, my books, the booklets?
Yeah, the pamphlet.
You mean this thing?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the material that I since COVID, I sell it through my office, or I can mail it to you.
Oh, mail. That's great.
Do you wanna check in with me after we finish with the class on that, on text? Can you do that?
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, because I'm also trying to add the class, so I'll check in.
Yeah,
with you.
just text me after we finish the session here, and we can figure that out, huh?
Thank you.
All right, perfect. You're welcome.
Hey, Professor.
Yes, sir.
I know that you made groups, right? And I'm wondering, like, what time do you have the Zoom meetings for those groups?
No, this is the Zoom meeting is just one per week where we go through the week's material, and then you work on the stuff online. And if you have questions, you reach out to me. Or I do have what I do have. Yeah, that's actually good. We talk about that. That's something else though, potentially. Let me show you. What I do encourage students, and I have to work on making it a little bit more official, but is, see here where it says Zoom study group. You got
Yes.
that on your side as well. And if you open that, there is you can click here and it goes to a group, to a Zoom meeting that's always open. And so you, both ends can go through that, and then you meet at the same place. And so if you say like, hey, I want to have a study group with, can I have a study group with, so, or you text the group text, you know, the ones that I'm using when I text you stuff, you use that because you got like 15 people in one of those groups, and you say, hey, is anybody want to do a study group a little bit, so we can work on that material a little. I have some questions. Does anybody know who can help me out, or something like that? And then somebody can respond, and then you can meet in that format in that room, because in there you can share your screen and everything on each side. So again, that's in here on the Zoom study group. That's a permanent room that is there for you guys 24/7 through the semester.
That's great. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, just I'm not fully yet completely organized with the Canvasy stuff. So, you know, be in terms of the groups. Otherwise, I try to be very organized. But in terms of the groups, so have initiative if you feel like it, or even if you have issues, reach out to me, and then I can reach out to the class or something like that. If you try and nobody responds back or so. Because I think it is, you know, a very good format to work together on things like this stuff, especially as we, you know, get even deeper in the muscles and the bones. For example, it's good to have somebody that you could talk about the video, that stuff that I go through in the class, and because we're not meeting in a classroom, we don't have that as much, and it doesn't have to be crazy long or so, but it also is good for, if you understand what I'm talking about in the class, to explain it to somebody and help somebody out, because that makes you understand it better and more deeper if you explain it to someone. It's very different from understanding it in the head and then having to explain it and speak it out. And the top learning is really happening with that. So that's why if you have kids, I totally encourage you to be as nerdy as you can with your kids. And, you know, I mean, if they are okay with that, but actually be surprised when it comes to learning these names and making funny sounding things out of these names. The kids are right on it. They love that kind of stuff. If you have some little ones around you. So mine are unfortunately grown up now. Oh. All right. So any other questions that come up? We talk here. Good.
Professor, I actually have a question.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I missed it because I signed in a little late, but when are we going to get assigned our text groups for the lifestyle assessment?
So I'm doing that today and tomorrow. I want you guys to text me through today, and you know, as fast as you can, what group you want to be at. The ones who did, I already started adding to my spreadsheet, and then I just don't have enough yet to make the groups, and then I'm going to create the groups on text, and then I start sending out texts, and I'm planning on having that done by today, by the end of the day.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Anything else? Anybody else? No? All right. Well, don't be shy. And if you're not now and it come up later, shoot me a text. Don't be shy there too. I'm a text away. Okay.
I try to send you some text on, but I don't know like which one is your personal like.
Yeah,
phone.
you just send it to the 510-387-2946. And
Exactly.
yeah, just shoot me to that. Just make a private text out of it, and then that's the easiest for me to get. If I'm not responding, you know, I might not respond timely. I might like do everybody in a specific a couple times in the day. So I'm not always looking at that phone and also be able to do other things and see patients. But I try to be as swift as I can, but I do have 110 students this semester as the first time. So I'm a little slow ski once in a while. So don't feel shy of shooting me a few texts if I'm not responding fast enough for you, or it's more urgent for you than I realize it is. So do not feel bad about that, okay? Okay?
That's great.
All right. Well, that way, you know, it's a collaborative effort. You guys do the learning and I be as good as a coach as I can be with that. All right. Well, with that, if there's last thoughts, we'll do those, or otherwise we're good for today. I'm having everything said I need to say. Good. Well, if you have something left, stay after it.
I'm sorry, just one quick question. Do you have multiple sections? Like when we text you, what group do you want us to refer to our section, or are we your only anatomy physiology at Merit?
You know, that's actually, yeah, Merit, I'm the only, well, I got 2 lab sections, so to speak, but so we are about 50. So the one thing that is actually helpful, I realize I try not to, is a first name or something. I try to make everything sort of anonymous in a group. And so I'm not, you know, I'm not worried about it, but then once in a while I find myself looking at the spreadsheet and trying to tie the name with the phone number. So if you don't mind, if it's not a privacy issue for you, if you know that the other members in your group, they have a first name too, then that would be great. That will probably be the only thing that would be most helpful. But if it is an issue, don't worry about it. We can keep it anonymous too.
Oh, I don't mind the privacy thing. I just wanted to make sure, like, you didn't have a bunch of classes and you're like, oh, who is this person and which class is she in or whatever. Just my name is enough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Okay,
I manage it just to the phone numbers. But especially once I'm starting to do, like, you know, an exercise group, maybe a couple of those, because there's usually a lot of people who do the walking, then we are already more in a smaller format and can sort of chat back and forth within the group. And it's not like, you know, 15, 20 people have to be part of the conversation. And you can always shoot me a text privately as well. You know?
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, I think we're good. Have a wonderful, wonderful week and work hard, but not too hard.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And if you have anything at the end, don't log off. Stay behind, Melanie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Should I stay on about the